That was some serious stuff right there. Got the car all loaded up. Probably isn't loaded properly, but that's fine because we've got all the horsepower in the world and more. This is usually fairly fighting. I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Hey, how's it going? Today I am going to the dyno. I'm so stoked. I've been waiting for this day for so damn long. So what I'm going to do today is try and get 700 horse and 700 foot-pounds of torque. I'm just loading everything up right now. I got my Chevy out of storage, meaning outside. All right, so I'm going to Mark and Performance to use their dyno, and Mark is going to be driving my car, but I am going to be tuning it. I'm not allowed to drive due to safety-ness and all that-ness. So I'm gonna be in the passenger seat, plugged into the computers and doing all the tuning and telling Mark what I want. To load it up a lot, low load, or do power runs. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of that. All the tuning is gonna be done by me, obviously, and I'm gonna bring some extra spark plugs. I have cases of spark plugs that I have already gapped down to 0.025. So I've got that tight gap for the E85 and the high boost. High boost meaning 15 pounds to 17. And I'm just gonna let her rip and hopefully things go well. I haven't had smooth times with this car at all lately. Last night, I had an oil leak in the back from my oil feed to my turbo, and I went to fix it. I removed it, removed the actual fitting out of the block, re-put it back in, and the block cracked. So there is a crack in my block, and literally oil is peeing out everywhere, and not a good thing. So I fixed it to the best of my abilities with welding it with JB Weld. Yeah, it does work sometimes, it sometimes doesn't, but that's what I'm betting on right now. I haven't even tested it, but I am on the way to the dyno. I just want it to dry for the longest time possible because that stuff takes 24 hours to dry, and it's been 24 hours now. Zeddy, stay here, come on, get in. And I don't want it to actually leak, so I'm just letting it dry for the longest I possibly can before actually letting her eat. And if it does leak, I'm going home, and I've got to either get a new block or fix it more properly. But yeah, from what I've heard, JB Weld does wonders, so I'm crossing my fingers on it. I know it's very Jimmy type of fix, but what do you do? Like, it's the block. Like, if I want to fix it properly, which I want to do, is I would have to get a new block decked and honed and take all the guts out, pistons, rods, crank, everything. So you're starting from scratch, and that's not a good scratch to be at, especially when it's at the beginning of the season. If it holds, it holds, which I'm betting on. You bet on it for me too. All right, we'll see you at the dyno. All right, I'm on the way. Car's on the trailer. My uncle gave me a hand doing that. So I'm on the way, but before, like 20 minutes ago, I've been dealing with the more pain in the butts. So I ran it because I waited 24 hours for the JB Weld to dry and ran the car. It idled for about 2 minutes and then it started dripping. I'm like, oh, the JB Weld broke loose. But I don't think it was the JB Weld. It was my distributor. My distributor. Where the distributor goes into the head, it has a gasket, and that was leaking. So I took the firewall back off, exhaust off, and I took it off, and I actually re-put a new gasket on. So no wait time on that. So I just slapped her together, and I'm on the way. I'm already late for the dyno. I'm already 10 minutes late, and I just left. So that sucks, but he won't charge me for it. I know he won't, but he's a cool dude at marking. So I'm just on the way right now. It's hauling really good, but I'll catch up with you once I strap her down. Hopefully nothing leaks, and today goes nothing but smooth. All right, I'm almost there. I'm gonna quick get it off the trailer. Hopefully it doesn't leak, and let's make some freaking power. into the heads before we start doing any heavy pulls, but we're gonna go from there. Data logging is very important. This is our first pull, and I'm going to data log every single pull we make, and I am going to name it rear engine 1 and go from there. So once I'm ready with the log, I tell him that I'm good to go, and he'll make a tug. As you can easily see here, the engine was running brutally. It was breaking up really, really bad. There's many reasons a turbo engine can break up. One is improper gap, another is fueling, if it's too rich or too lean, and another is knock. My current case was that I was running too rich. During a pull, I'm always watching my air-fuel ratio. It is a very important factor of a tune, and to start off a tune, it's the most important. The reason it was breaking up is because it was a little bit rich still, but I'm getting close. So I just, again, go back into my log, which I'm in right now, and I can go cell per cell. So I can take like a millisecond and then go to the next millisecond in real time and have it paused and see where my air fuel ratio was at what load and RPM, and then I can give or take fuel out to get that fuel map perfect, or as perfect as I physically can to my tuning capabilities. Alright, now I'm in my data log, and what I'm doing now is I'm going to when he was at 100% throttle and when it was starting to get into boost, because that's most important at this point. Anything else I can easily tune in my shop, which I already have. So I'm looking at that, and I'm going to zoom in a bit here, and as the RPM goes up and the load goes up, the small where I highlighted it is where the actual target is going to be in. So I'm going to be tuning in there. So I'm just finding where it was running lean or where it was running rich. And in my case, it was running rich because honestly, start rich, then pull fuel out. Don't start lean and then put fuel in, because running lean will melt stuff and you don't really want to make goo out of your insides of your engine. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just taking out a little bit of fuel. That's where I thought I needed some, and I also thought the entire piece could come out. So I highlighted that all, and I took out 10%, and how I did that was I multiplied those cells by 0.9. So that's taking out 10% of the fueling that is currently in there and make less fuel go through the injectors at that voltage. So once I removed the fuel I thought I needed, now I can go into my 3D map and I can smooth everything out, because since I'm just decreasing the top right corner where my mouse is right now, I always make sure my entire map's smooth, because it can really confuse you when you're watching the pull and your fuel is all over the place. So you got to make sure everything's smooth. Like, for example, you can't have at 3,000 RPM your fuel trim being 90, and then all of a sudden your fuel trim drops to 70 when your RPM's at 5,000 RPM. You can't have big jumps, so you have to have it all smooth, and
transition nice and neatly. Alright, again, I open my log for the newest pull, and I'm just cleaning up little bits on the fuel map where it wasn't perfect, getting as close as I possibly can. Gotta be thorough all the time, and I'm also checking for knock every time I'm in my log. It's also very important. First pulls you make sure your ignition timing is set properly, and you also have to make sure your ignition timing isn't like really high. Like, obviously you need to run something conservative at the start to learn the engine, because you can't just go, oh yeah, I'm gonna run 35 degrees of timing and it'll run mint. No, you better start low. You better start at 19, 18, something like that for a V6 this size or something. But you can't just go full out there and just go right to 30 degrees and expect your engine to be in one piece.
Alright, we're gonna do a dyno pull and see how much power it makes. Yeah, I'm good to go. 251 horse and 244 foot-pounds of torque.
Alright, so now I've got the fuel map looking mint. So now I turned up the boost and we're ready to party. Get this thing rocking some power down to the frickin' earth. Woo!
You can hit the rev limiter, it's no problem. I added some boost, and we're gonna see how much more it made. 280 horse, 269 foot-pounds. We need more. I added a couple more degrees downtown, and we're gonna give her another shot. It made 280. I'm going for 4. Okay guys, I am looking pretty decent here. Not making much power. There's quite a bit, there's a low compression engine in the back, so I'm gonna have to compensate with boost and adding some timing, obviously. So I'm gonna Alright, we made 351, motherfuckers. We made 351. 351. We're on to something here. We're on to something here. I finally got the boost going up. Maybe I'll turn it up a little bit more. Get that 400.
So every engine really shows its flaws and advantages while on the dyno. You can basically figure out where it's not breathing good, what size turbos are bad, all that stuff. And as I can see right now, I've found out my wastegate setup is breathing too much, so I cannot build much boost. My boost controller would not let me go above 15 pounds for peak, so my boost would go from 10 pounds to 15 pounds, then back down to 10. Since boost was an issue, I just added timing to try and get that 400 horse. Dang, that's when the engine really started to scream. Once I started adding a bunch of timing, thing really came alive. But this is also when I ran into major issues with the car. So I can't raise the boost, and I need the power, so I just kept raising timing. So at this point, when I realized raising timing isn't giving me much power, I'm kind of like, I'm not going to get the 400, because if I raise the timing much more, I'm just risking the engine. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stop doing the timing thing and just leave it at that, and turn down the timing just a touch so I don't hurt anything. And when I was turning down the timing, I accidentally turned it up by a huge amount, which is way too much, and you'll see in the next clip. At this point, it was pretty discouraging that the car was breaking up really bad, and I had no idea why. So the last thing I was thinking of is, okay, I'm gonna go check the plugs and see what's going on, see if that is an issue.
Fucking piece of shit caveman computer. I was having a whole bunch of breaking up issues, and as you can see, there's no tip on that plug anymore. I had a bunch of knock going on, and it didn't like it, and obviously the spark plugs didn't like it either. I'm just lucky that I didn't melt a piston, because if there was a stock piston, it would have been goo. Bottom's the most recent. 384 horsepower, 380 or 378 torque. Wow, that's... Is that 400 horse? 395. Okay, we're doing it once more. Oh my god, almost 400 horse. Yep.
This pull was 408 horsepower and 370 foot-pounds of torque. This was not even a full pull to 7,000 RPM, and it was the highest pull I've had so far. So since I added timing and adjusted the boost levels to the highest I possibly can, it's really worked out. Keep in mind, this is on 12 pounds of boost. If I had a larger wastegate spring, this thing would be eating 600 horsepower, no problem. Definitely for the future, I definitely know that my wastegate system needs worked on. I thought that my boost controllers would be able to turn it up to like 20 pounds, but unfortunately there's something weird going on, and it wouldn't let me get past like 12 or 13 pounds. So learning every day, right?
I'm so happy right now, it's insane. 400 horsepower, 410 actually. and just the rear engine. Woo! Oh my Lanta, that was some serious stuff right there. Got the car all loaded up, probably isn't loaded properly, but that's fine because we've got all the horsepower in the world and more. That's a lot of power, a lot of power. Honestly, unusable amount of power, but that's okay. This is usually fairly frightening.
I'm gonna make